Definitely also like skipped vacations with my family to play tournaments.
We're just playing games and we forget we gotta eat. There's a lot of money involved. From when people are watching people play games competitively, it's like, oh, this guy or this girl plays a game for a living, they do nothing. And that's not true, because most of the time behind the scenes we're really grinding, we're really practicing, we're watching replays and analyzing what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong.
These issues always existed, it was just never really talked about in the same way. And I think esports has probably gone through a similar thing where especially all these early competitors were feeling all the same stresses, all the same pressures and all of this, but it wasn't really talked about in the same way anywhere. So people weren't really identifying it as much as they maybe are now.
These players that are competing at such a high level are put under tremendous amounts of stress and pressure, so much so that it begs the question whether or not it was all worth it to begin with.
我说了多少次了？上次打完比赛我就说了，我们有主动权的时候，利用大龙打架，两波大龙你们开了团吗？
If you've spent 10 hours, 6 days a week practicing, and then you lose on Saturday, you lose on Sunday, what a waste of a week almost. Like that's not like strictly true, but it's really easy, obviously, to feel like all the work was a miss, and then you look at all the stuff you sacrificed or the time you didn't spend with friends or family or loved ones, and you're sort of like, I really sacrificed all that time. Like that London season, we went 1-15. And there's a big part of me, I looks at it and goes like, I've sacrificed all this time and all this effort to win one game all year. It has to not be worth it.
But I didn't win for like a whole year, man. It was not easy. I remember joining these tournaments and I would automatically get first rounded. I'd lose in the first round. I'd play some crazy people, which were pros. And I was like, holy, this is no joke. So it took me like a whole year and a half before I won my first tournament. But then again, after you win the first one, it's like, I've done it before, I can do it again. So, you know, you just try to chase that win. So it started happening more frequently, but it takes a long time before you win your first tourney. But it happens. But on a regular day, you're most likely spending minimum 8 to 12 hours.
When we're able to find that success on London, and we get a real sense of, I guess, camaraderie and togetherness as the roster, I was like, actually, that's now the most special experience, like working as a career experience, that team and that environment and that togetherness.
You get to meet a lot of cool people. You get to network a lot as well with a lot of cool people. And you get to travel a lot. Money is last. It's like, money is whatever. Like, money can help, but money is not the best thing to have.
Due to the nature of the sport, a quick turnaround is expected, week in, week out.
Oh, okay, we're having, I guess, like, I don't want to say, maybe mental breakdown's too strong a word, but we're having a lot of mental health issues. But we've also got a game in 3 days. So not only do we need to fix this, we need to fix this by Saturday or something. And it's a lot of pressure, and it adds to pressure for the whole team, pressure for the coach, pressure for the staff.
특히 가장 책임감을 많이 느꼈을, 충분히 이해가 됐고 그렇게 할 만한 이유가 있었다고 생각을 하는 게, 당연히 그런 식으로 게임을 패배하고 나면 남은 경기가, 그때 아마 남은 경기가 굉장히 쉽지 않은 상대들이 남아있었을 텐데 책임감도 느껴졌을 거고 좀 불안하고 조급한 마음이 당연히 생길 수밖에 없고.
I was playing anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. I wasn't really seeing the sunlight, which is very, very bad for your health, but it's one of those things, right? Every job that you do in the world, there's the pros and the cons, right? The cons, that's definitely there. I wasn't really spending that much time with friends or family, to be honest.
In traditional sports, you can train so much in a day, but if you just train 14 hours in a day, you're not actually just going to make more progress, you're going to make negative progress. You're going to injure yourself or tire yourself out and make yourself perform worse. Whereas in esports, because it's just in front of a computer, the idea of practicing 12 hours a day is something that a lot of people do. A lot of people who even aren't pros will just play games for that amount of time per day. So I think you're able to like load more work on, and there's not as much limiting you as there would be in traditional sports.
I do think we put a lot of stress on ourselves over nothing. Well, over nothing, but I think it causes a lot of burnout, which is why we often retire at the age of like 24, 25. And then what happens as well, you know, 14, 15-year-old players, because they have a lot more free time, a lot less responsibility. Other reasons I retired, so I was like 23, 24, I didn't want to keep playing that game for the rest of my life. Like, I want to do more things that are open-ended with a lot more potential. Because then you get older, you start thinking about your future, you start thinking about family, friends, and your partners. So it's like, it happens quite often in the esports industry to retire at an early age.
It's just sort of a thing that I think a lot of people accept, that it is going to be a relatively short career or a relatively unstable career, and as such, just take what you can get when you can get it.
I myself, I never felt the pressure, but I did at the same time. I think the pressure came from me putting it on myself rather than acting and just letting things happen. Because what happens with most players these days, it's like, oh, I gotta win, I gotta win, I gotta win, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Then we just kind of forget about everything else, and then we keep disappointing ourselves because we want to perform. So I think that's what happens most of the time. We set the expectations ourselves. I'd probably say most pro players do that. We set a bar, and then if we don't meet that bar, we're like really mentally demoralized. I remember after winning a couple of tournaments, I had an ego, like, I'm not gonna lie. As you grow older, you start pushing that ego aside, but I had an ego.
Gaming as a whole allows for friends in any capacity to be made. It allows for people to connect through any game and form friendships, which could last a lifetime. All from one common denominator, the game they all love.
Most of my friends, that is sort of like my main, I guess, core friendship group, if you want to call it that, are all people I met in TF2. The probably oldest friend I have is probably also someone I met in TF2. So not all of, but a large part of my closest relationships all started in TF2, or obviously a bit later in Overwatch in terms of some of the coaches I've worked with there and players I've worked with there. So in that sense, yeah, I think TF2 and that experience is a fundamental part of not just my life in terms of I did that for a long period of time and therefore it is a fundamental part of my life, but it's been a fundamental part of my life from that point onwards because of all the friends that I'm still in contact with. I'm getting married next year, and I think it's fair to say all of my best man and all my groomsmen are all people I met in TF2.
One of the great things about esports is that sense of community. Watching as all these different people from across the globe come to watch the best players duke it out for victory. Whilst riding the roar of the crowd, it creates a moment that words simply can't describe.
Major champions on the other side.
Almost there. Justin keeps it alive. Teleport's there. Bounces into the corner. Energy still around. Justin is there for the shot. Done! This is Rocket League.